back. This is the Fall Line with Chaos and Company. I'm Dave Caper, and we're here with Angelo, and we are here for part 2 with the Alpine team coach, Michael Rogan. And as we finish the last section here, part 1, I wanted to roll right into the new standards rollout, and not like go word for word to the standards, which I know you can memorize, kind of like age 46. But
it turns out it is about ski poles. Who knew?
I had to throw that one in there. I had to.
Well
done. But more kind of how people can look at the new standards. Like, I mean, are they totally new? Is it more of an evolution? I mean, I know it's more of probably an evolution than it is where we have our learning connection. But from your view, and you've been a little closer to how the standards have been written, put together, evolved over the years, and evolved to this. I was just looking for your perspective on that, and how you think members should look at it.
Well, I feel this is going to be good. It really is. And Dave Schuling, Pete Allison, thanks to Penn State for giving us a direction. And I feel like it's a way to take all of our information that every division has had and make it consistent with each other so that the ask is the same. The idea of having learning outcomes is new to us in some regards, but not new to the education world. I mean, you go to take any course or certification, and there are learning outcomes. There are things that says that at the end of this course, if you participate in it actively and engage in it, you will know blah, 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 blah. You'll be able to talk to blah, blah, blah. You'll be able to. So that idea clarifies what is going to be asked of a level 1, a level 2, or a level 3 candidate from a skiing point of view, from a teaching point of view, from a social interaction point of view, from a movement analysis point of view, from a professional development point of view. It takes some of what could be the 8 different regions, divisions, the way that they do it, and makes it the way that we do it. And that in and of itself is going to be wonderful. The idea of assessment activities being the things that you do to get assessed, like your lesson plans, or assessment criteria, which is the scoring system. The fact that is the same, and that not only is the scoring system the same throughout the country, but the form is the same. It just gets rid of unnecessary, cloudy, murky, confusing waters. And I feel like that is something that the people that take exams have asked for eternity. I did when I took my level, my registration, my associate, my full certification. What is it that I need to know? How well do I need to know it? And then let me go prepare for it. And divisionally, that was there in the East. In the West, when I moved out to California in the Western Division, they had a master plan that spelled that stuff out. But to organize it from a countrywide point of view, and for it to pass the litmus test of Penn State University and the work that they're doing with us, there's no way that it can't make it less ambiguous and less ambiguity. That was my attempt to use a big word. Clear. That's my Rhinebeck High School education for you.
Still just a ski instructor.
Boy, skiing's important.
Yep.
Should be a T-shirt, but it just does a nice job. It just does a good job of allowing the divisions to collaborate, to be consistent, and to take again some of the ambiguity out of it, and make it clear. And then from an examiner's point of view, it helps you understand that there is a criteria, there is activities, there is a learning outcome that needs to take place. So if you see the behavior, then you can score it. And if you can't see the behavior, then if it's decided that it's part of the learning outcomes, then you need to figure out a way to see if the candidate can show that behavior. And if they don't show it, then it's really easy to score. So it should take a lot of the guesswork from, I think I nailed it, but I failed. We shouldn't have those big drastic differences of opinion. And who doesn't want that? When people put so much time, effort, money, energy into getting certified, and to go, I had a clinic with Capron 2 years ago, and I know that he doesn't like me. So I'm going to go to an exam where Capron's not around because Capron and I don't get together. Or, when you take an exam, if you get Capron, you better make sure that you talk about extending the outside leg versus flexing the inside leg. Because if you talk about pronation, he's going to ding you on that for sure. And you're going to dig yourself a hole. And boy, oh boy, he's going to grill you forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And it shouldn't, Dave Capron as an examiner shouldn't have that authority over the process to make it about what he wants seen. It's about what the process should show. So that I think is good. It's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to be, it's going to be, there's going to be us examiners that are going to have to do things maybe a little bit differently than in the past. There's going to be some recommendations about working with a pair of examiners if some divisions only work in separates or singles. And I know some divisions allow taking notes and others don't. And that stuff will have to be cleared up. But I feel like it's all in an attempt to be more transparent, more clear about what is being asked of the candidate, what the candidate needs to know, and then the process with which to find out that information from the examiner. So the goal is to only get rid of ambiguity and clear up murky water. And that is absolutely 100%. I don't care what the conspiracy theories are. That is absolutely what is the first step of this process. It is not about, they're just changing it again so they can get more money and blah, blah, blah. That's all, if I can be frank, that's all BS. And if that's the way you think, then you should check yourself, check out what's going around, not live in your vacuum, and or pull the ripcord and get out because you don't want to be here anyway.
Yeah, this is one of the first ones I've seen that I do think it's just what you said, Michael. This is really to put transparency out there. We're not going to have our biases. We've got to go with what is on the learning outcomes and go with that. That's what we score.
We had that a long time ago. Sorry, Angelo, I know you want to get in here, but we had that a long time ago, especially in the Western Division. You could you could get certified the French way, the Austrian way, the German way within PSIA. And that's wrong. That's not the way that a country should be united about one direction. It's just not the way that it's done well. And it's been tried a bunch of different times. This road is paved for a long way till you find where it comes to an end. And now Dave Schuling and the task force are all working hard to pave the road the rest of the way. It's been tried and has succeeded to a certain level. There's some other things that are going to have to take place. The process is going to have to. The process divisionally, regionally, is going to have to become similar. That's going to have to take place at some point of view if you really want to go for it. The amount of days or the cost of days or the cost of an exam, some of that is going to have to streamline. But that's not up to us. That's up to the operational leaders of each region and division. That's up to the voting power of our membership, of all of us, including examiners, to work on. But when it comes to the execution of the educational and the strategic alignment and the certification national standards, that's up to us to grab a hold of and figure ways to make it happen and make it be successful, rather than be a blocker at the gate that says, no, you know what, I think it's cool to be the negative Nelly, or the devil's advocate. This isn't the time for that. We need to sort it out. It's not going to be perfect. There are going to be situations that arise within the exam process that are going to need to be addressed at examiner training. But this is not the time to be, I'm going to stand up here and see if I can't derail it because I think that we should be that way. You got to let go of that and shed that stuff. You're not helping out. And if you're not helping out, quite honestly, get on your bus, because we don't want you on this bus. And that's not to say that it's all about the PSIA, ASI Kool-Aid. But it's about the process being good and well received from an academic institution like Penn State, for the betterment of our membership and the betterment of the process and the betterment of the candidate's experience. That's what it's about. And Dave Schuling is killing himself trying to make it happen and make it happen successfully. And we should be supporting that in every way possible. Or get off the bus. Go somewhere else.
I'm enjoying this. I'm just laughing.
I know. It's so
I think this is terrific. I think we all have in our locker rooms people who are happy when they're mad.
Yeah.
But,
is anything, you walk in and see him in the morning, you go, is anything okay?
Right.
Is anything okay? Yeah.
When I 2 years ago at our training, Pete Allison and Jonathan Ballou were there. And to hear Pete talk about the performance guides as a way to catch people doing something right.
Yeah.
If you have somebody in your exam who can't demonstrate that they're, people have this notion that carving, for example, is like the most evolved form of skiing. And so every ounce of their being goes toward getting their skis on edge at all costs. And then you lose your ability to skid, or you think you're not allowed to skid, or whatever the nonsense is. But using the performance guide as an opportunity to say, okay, I really need to see this guy or this gal skid in this exam. And here's a mechanism to create an environment where they can skid, right? But then on top of that, when you hear Ballou talk about the 6-point scoring system and skill acquisition, and even though it's a 6-point system, it's really binary. Like, has the candidate developed this skill or not? Yes or no, and then to what degree on either side. And it's so objective. That's the 6-point scoring scale is so objective. And it's like, with those two things combined, as an educator, as a long-time educator, I wish I had something so clean in my classroom when I was scoring kids on things more high stakes in a lot of cases than a ski turn. Yep. It's a really, really, really impressive body of work.
A tremendous amount of work. I mean, and it gives, hopefully it'll provide an opportunity in every aspect. I mean, the big cool war in Big Sky, the National Academy is not the place to carve, but trying to get a NASTAR Platinum medal is not the place to skid. So, giving the opportunities and getting to the essence. Again, back to a little bit of from what we just talked about, getting to students, what students really want to do, and can you affect that? And does it have to always be holding the hands or the technical message? Could the technical message be wrapped in some type of activity that is really good teaching and creates play and creates experimentation and creates reflection? And is there a place in the exam process to allow that to happen? And do you understand the impact that, shifting to, the people side of things, do you understand, are you working to develop trust? Are you communicating two ways? And are you aware of your impact on the situation? And if you can do that, then, maybe the technical content about the drill, the exercise they do, maybe that might have a place. God, I can't believe I'm saying this. Might have a place to be accepted if that's not the marquee event. The other stuff is the marquee event, or some of that is the marquee event, but those combinations can happen, should happen, because good teachers do that. A good lesson might not include a marquee technical component, but it might have technical aspects to the lesson, and vice versa.
That self-management part of the people skills fundamentals, the professionalism and self-management. In the last podcast, you mentioned real briefly emotional intelligence, and coming up through becoming a school teacher. And this was in the 90s when I was taking my classes. Emotional intelligence was the hot button topic, and we learned about it in most classes. It came up in most situations, but it was always aimed at the student. And I don't remember any one time in my training as a public educator where I was asked to consider my own behaviors and how my behaviors might impact the classroom. It was all aimed at somebody rather than looking in a mirror. And the fact that that's where we are now, just in terms of the people skills, it's like getting to know yourself. Are you the kind of person that when somebody comes out and, back to the last podcast, you're like, I want to be able to keep up with my kids, and you teach them Frankenstein arms. Like, just having that bit of a conversation with yourself shows how evolved this process is from where we used to be and from where other types of educators are now. Aren't as evolved as where PSIA, AASI is right now.
It's an adult conversation about adult topics and themes that affect adults and kids. And it's important to know. It makes us better at our job. Makes us better. Makes us better at our jobs.
And listening to you earlier talk about the team focused on, like, I was trying to get in there, like, what are you guys talking about technically in the 5 fundamentals? And it was interesting just listening to you. And I hope people, when I ask this question, maybe they click back and listen to some of your responses back then, that because we hear the conversations on the 5 fundamentals and people get wound up. What's right? What's wrong? How much? How fast? It's always the same thing. And how much sometimes do people take what the team came up with over the years for these 5 fundamentals and taking them to a point that you may say, and maybe you won't, but I think they've said some people are taking them to a right and wrong, that ability to have versatility and tactical choices within those fundamentals are like being lost because they're getting so rigid in what they think it says. I mean, I don't think you guys wrote them that way to be rigid. I think they were written to let people flow and ski in different conditions, whether they're at Big Sky or whether they're in the NASTAR course. And I just was curious as to your comments, and you can tell me I'm dead wrong, but maybe I am.
No, you're probably not. You've proven to be a pretty smart, intuitive person, Dave, which is one of the things that I know I personally love most about you.
And it surprised the hell out of everybody.
Yeah, it does come off sometimes.
Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah. Hookity huck, country dumb, and then all of a sudden, bam, pearls of wisdom. Yeah. But I think that it's, again, if you look at the exam process, people want to know what they should do and how to do it, and it should be this and it should be that, and we've had that within our system of final forms, and we have that in demonstration assessment activities. You have to show a level of proficiency at different skier zones or different competency levels, so that you can relate to and understand what a student is doing or going through. You would like to think that as instructors, we ski and ride better than our students. And hopefully that's the case. But you have to be able to, got to be able to go, okay, this person is making, a wedge turn or trying to make a parallel turn and not being successful. And here's what's happening. So if I can, that's one of the ways that I do movement analysis the best is trying to mimic a person and go, okay, this is what I'm feeling. And I compare that to what what I feel like I feel like when I'm skiing and being successful in this situation, and here are some of the differences. These things are a difference, and then you can go. I'm going to pick at that, or we're going to work on this thing, and see if it if it bears fruit. And I feel like so we need those milestones. We need those centerline maneuvers. We need those demos now. Those assessment activities to have a sense of what's going on at a certain skill level. But we also need to appreciate that we shouldn't be teaching a Wedge Christie. We should be teaching somebody how to get their skis parallel so that they can skid a little bit more, so that they can ski on a blue run with their kid or their husband or their girlfriend or their parents, or handle the soft snow a little bit because it's starting to get bumpy after a snowfall, or roll their skis up on an edge because it's getting a little slick and their skis are sharp, and not necessarily working on their inclination or angulation. You got to be able. So there's a tension, there's a dynamic in all of that. You need to know one to be able to do the other. You need to do one to be able to know the other. And that's our job as as instructors. Feel like I lost part of a bit of your question there, Dave.
Well, I think you're on the right track. I was just looking for, no, I don't think you're on the right track. You're right down the middle of the road for me. But it was just, I think that we get into that battle of, to the outside ski. And then all they think of to the outside ski is a high edge angle to their outside ski. And then, like you said, they go to Big Sky and ride the tram. And I'm not so sure that's going to work coming down through there.
Yeah. Well, and that becomes the application of the fundamental, right? I mean, we do it. Skiing is an outside ski dominant sport. It is that way because of physics and biomechanics. So it is, otherwise it would be something other than that, but it is an outside ski dominant sport, which is good. The challenge is sometimes we are in conditions or situations where you need to be able to manage your weight foot to foot, which is one of the fundamentals. It doesn't say that you always have to do it this way, or you always have to do it. You got to understand that dynamics and that relationship and the tension, because if you get in crusty snow that's got a little bit of depth to it, if you're not really good and you can impose your will on the conditions, then you got to bend to the condition in the situation. And we have equipment that says it's a little bit easier to be more balanced between our skis and not just on the outside one, or to understand how to get off of the inside one if you're finding conditions that warrant, or you're looking to get more ski performance out of the outside ski, whether it be a carve or in that regard, or edge grip, that you better be a little bit better on getting to the outside one than getting caught on the inside ski. So it's the application of the fundamental that then comes true, and that in and of itself can be challenging. When you make big, wide open, broad statements, it's really hard to be specific, which is why a famous cliche of our organization, is that depends. But the smart answer is, that depends. What's your intent? What's your goal? What are you trying to do? And what's the situation telling you is the better approach? Because there could be 100 ways to skin a cat, but there's probably 2 or 3 that are understood to be the better ones and the more successful ones. If we were to look at a certain situation, I feel like the 3 of us, or the 3 of anybody, would probably come up with similar things. So it would be just stupid with except for the experiment, for the goal of experimentation, to try something way out here in left field. It just does. If you're trying to be successful at this condition and you got the choice of 3 versus the choice of 30, you got a much better shot at hitting the target with 3 than 30. So, let's understand that there are times when you want to experiment and play for the sake of learning. And if I can't do it, I ought to be able to, and let's try this. And there are other times where you go, nope, you know what? I need to be successful here. And as the coach or the instructor, my job to students is to help them see that it's not this big, huge universe of skiing, but it's these 2 or 3 or 4 things. And if we work on those, then there's a pretty good shot that we're going to be successful at this condition or this situation. And I feel like the fundamentals are broad in that scope, that they allow for that flexibility, but you got to know how to apply them. You got to understand. I mean, that's what skill, that's what skill development is about. That's what skill sequencing is about. That's what all of those. That's what the Venn diagram. Those circles are movable in the skills concept. That's where I would love to, in thinking about the future of where we're going with the technical statement, is I would love to say, look, let's define an outcome, and let's look at the Venn diagram of the skills concept. Let's relate it to that outcome so that we can understand how the skills work with each other. And then look at the fundamentals and the application of that fundamental for that goal and at a hand. It's really important that we have control of our fore-aft balance when we're skiing moguls or soft snow. And we're going to use the range because of the amount of flexion that happens in our body to manage pressure fore and aft against the ski and the overall magnitude of pressure. But if you're looking for the ski to arc up and carve, boy, you better peg the magnitude meter and do it on the outside ski, and not soften that, get that to be just gentle rolling hills, and do it on both skis. You got to understand the application of the fundamental.
And that's where it leads into, we watch a lot of World Cup skiing. I know I try to watch as much as I can, and sometimes I can't find it with access, but YouTube
wasn't that crazy? Wasn't that crazy that the U.S. had to wait so long to get that sorted out to see if we could watch it? A market as big as the United States. I mean, here's off to the new, it was the president ahead that's now the president of FIS, saying that it should not take that long for the market life size United States to have to negotiate and figure out whether it's going to be broadcast when we have the person who's just going to win her 70th giant slalom race, and Nina O'Brien's going to be in top 9, and River Radimus on the men's side is going to get a 6th place. Yeah. We shouldn't have to struggle to watch that. That was bull.
Yeah. I mean, I was waiting. Luckily, some stuff came out on YouTube and got to see all that stuff there. But, there's a lot of debate, and people we get on Facebook, we get in the locker room, and, Hirscher skis this way, Michaela skis this way, and who's the best? And I mean, I'm curious as to your opinions just on how much is tactical. And yes, they're all looking for speed. They're in a race course, but is it their skill set? Is it their tactical advantage, their line? What are some of your thoughts on why maybe they're applying the fundamentals differently? And then we'll have like in the guys, we'll have Christopherson maybe skiing different than when Hirscher was, skiing, and they're both competing for hundredths of a second.
Yeah. Well, I think Christopherson is struggling.
Yeah.
He's hopefully he doesn't, he's such a beautiful skier. I mean, we've all watched video of him making those round basic parallel turns and just jaw drop in awe of it. Unfortunately, it's about going fast from start to finish. And he's been slow there. Interestingly enough, he's playing with his bindings. I don't know if you got there was looking at, I don't know if that's where the answer is. But on his Rosignol skis, he had a marker binding, and especially the marker toe piece. The marker XL toe piece, when it came out with the 4 screws to it, that was a little bit tricky and tight, I feel like, and didn't have enough controlled play in it, which is why Hirscher went to the old marker, and now Michaela is with, and now it's a marker is now building that 3 screwed toe piece versus the 4 screwed toe piece. They're coming back with the old design because I feel like there's probably something in the way that the ski reacts on the snow, and they really like about how the ski reacts on the snow. But look, Michaela is clearly technically the best. I feel like she's going to get challenged in a couple of disciplines for sure, certainly in the speed event, but she's proven that we talked about this, I want to say last year, I believe in technique about what kind of stress you can put on it, how many pieces of clothing, if you use clothing as parts of stress, how much clothing you can hang on a coat hanger or on a clothes hanger before it breaks. And Michaela clearly has the strongest, most versatile hanger to hang stresses on. She can handle a lot more variables thrown at her at this point in time. Winning by 1.3 seconds. I found it interesting at one of the last races last year. Alexi Pinturo got and beat out Marco Odermatt last year, but this year Odermatt got Pinturo's eyeball in Solden, so I feel like that's going to be a really, really good battle between those two guys. We haven't gotten into speed, but I feel like I hope the Americans do well. I hope River Radimus and the American tech team start to continue to build on River strength, and Ryan Cochran Siegel comes back and is healthy, and Tommy Ford, hopefully when he comes back, he's healthy. We haven't seen from the speed round of things, but hopefully Steve Nyman does well. Kriegmeier from Austria has proven that he's damn good. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. But one of the things that I really liked watching Solden was knowing how steep that section is. That middle section is steep. It's all you want. I mean, it is the head wall and the bottom of Superstar at Killington. It is steep and hard, and it is in the shadows. The sun's behind you. It's tricky. But what I really appreciate is no matter what happened, it seemed like everybody was doing their absolute best to get the ski to work in the fall line. If they could do that, then they could either accelerate a little bit or maintain their momentum. But if they pivoted too far past the fall line, just like a braking turn for us, you started to break. You started to see braking, and when you start to see braking a lot by a lot of people, you start to see the conditions deteriorate, which then means more bounce. And every time the ski loses contact with the snow, it's going to move down the hill a little bit. And you get lower and lower and lower. So the ones that were able to maintain some elevation and have the ski in the fall line working as best they could, they were able to miss and avoid all of that chop that happened either wide or a little bit late. And the good ones were able to do that. And the bad ones, the mediocre ones weren't. And the bad ones definitely weren't. And I feel like a lot for me watching World Cup is how connected to the snow are they. That's really important, because if you're connected to the snow, then you can get the ski to work. You can affect how the ski bends and how it changes directions, and then where in the turn that happens. I feel like we talk a lot about the top of the turn, and I feel like that might be in steep GS. That might be grabbing at straws a little bit, but the middle of the turn, the fall line, that is sacred cow, man. That is, you gotta be good there. You gotta be solid, moving with your skis, having your ankles bent, committed to the outside ski, paying attention to what that ski is doing in the snow. That's gotta happen in the fall line. And if it happens after the fall line, then you're always going to be on the wrong side of the clock, consistently on the wrong side of the clock. And I felt like watching the best do that, whether that be Odermatt or Michaela, you could see how comfortable they were just getting to the fall line and then having the ski arc out. Other folks went past it and then came back into the fall line. or they just went past it and then out and wide.
Angelo's writing.
Yep. You know what I wrote? The fall line would be
that's
a hell of a name for a podcast.
Well, but yours is chaos in the fall line or something like that. They're trying not to have that chaos, gentlemen.
Hey, Michael, you talked last episode. You talked about team training, and you guys were focused on synchro skiing and pairs and hitting the fall line at the same time.
Yep.
How do you think? Our 33,000 members across the country. How are we at the fall line part of the turn? And I hear a lot of talk about transition. Have we ignored the fall line part?
I mean, it's the transition that gets you there. So if that's good, you got a better shot. You know, if you're if you're chaotic in your transition, you're not going to have much fall line.
that was well played.
Yeah. I feel like yes, so lots of time has been spent in transition, and that's a good place because that's a good place to spend. Mm-hmm. But if there is a little bit of something going on, as long as you hold the fall line as a place for the ski works, then we got a shot. How are we as a country? You know, when the snow's good, or it's flatter, we can be great. But when the snow changes, if the snow gets harder and it's flatter, we can be okay. If the snow's good and it gets a little steeper, we can be okay. But it's tough when the pitch starts to really ramp up. There's a point where you're going to find yourself not comfortable. And you're going to go past the fall line and break and you're going to twist past the fall line and break rather than bend the ski and move across the hill to maintain your speed or comfortable at that speed, or you can't do it and you just, every turn is accelerating. So there's a great game to play. You talked about, Dave, you asked about what we can work on. Yeah. When the snow's not as good and the hill gets steeper, where are you dirty until, are you clean all the way through? And if you are, then great. Can you make the turn radius a little bit shorter and a little bit tighter and stay clean? Or do you start to get a little dirty and chaotic? Or does the hill have to get flatter? I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the Masters Academy on Superstar. And what's that? What's the one off of the top there below the Snowden Triple there? North Rhyme.
Rhyme. Oh, I could hear. She knew.
Yes. Robin just walked in the door.
That's why we drop it around. She knows it all.
Well, the reason for that, she knows that so well. Come say hello, Robin. Robin just walked in from work. She can use my microphone to say hello.
Hey, there she is. Hey, Robin.
She knows that trail rhyme because on a selfish point of view, that run is always a challenge for everybody. And inevitably groups at the Masters Academy go there. And if the snow's good, they might hang out there and then they go somewhere else. And the people that are really a little bit masochistic go to Rhyme and don't leave it as it gets worse and worse because everybody else is going down it sideways and making it harder, and the shadow grows longer and your legs get more tired. And Rhyme is beautiful for that early in the season. The plateau in Portillo is beautiful for that all during the season. Superstar, the head wall of Superstar is beautiful for that during the season. Can you get that ski to work for you? And it doesn't have to be a pure carve, but can the shape of your turn be such that that ski is pointed in the fall line? Because then the ski's moving forward. It's not moving sideways. And you got to move forward to stay in the middle of that ski so that you can continue to affect its bend and guide that bend across the hill and not just accelerate, hit that road that comes across on your way to, and then just, hit that road and end up looking at the bottom of the lift through the tips of your skis.
Angelo's never done that.
I've done it all the time, man. I think 3 years ago, I snapped a pole because I was just so out of sorts that I hit the bottom of the pole with my ski as the ski broke loose. I was all kinds of chaotic and I snapped my ski pole and I hate dings on the ski pole just above the basket. That drives me nuts because I know that I've spun out and the ski is broken free and it tinked. Oh, I hate those things.
Angelo, we're going to be looking. I'm going to be walking over to Michael when we get to Pro Jam Master. I'm going to be looking down at the bottom of his poles.
So here's the deal. When it happens, I have a Sharpie, but a Sharpie doesn't really work. But I also have a paint pen that's black that I will touch it up. But I'll bring a new pair of poles with me to the Masters Academy, Dave Capron. And if you do the same, we will compare notes about who's got the most dings on their ski pole at the end of the week.
Oh, there it is.
I can tell you right now who's going to have the most, and everybody out there will tell you it's going to be me.
Then we're going to have a 5K. Then we're going to do shots.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna call Jeb up and say, hey, bring me another new pair of poles so on Friday I can grab the new pair and just tell Michael, those are the pair I had all week.
I'll bring you that set. If you want an excuse that easy, I'll bring you a set.
He's going to have 10 pairs of poles with him at Masters Academy.
but if you know something about that in your skiing, I mean, you talk about what you should work on and what we should train for in the last episode. Look, do you cut the inside of your boots? Is there a reason for it? Isn't there a reason for it? Do you ding your ski poles? Do the front of the ski tips on if they're inside edge? Do you nick the inside ski tips? Those are places where you can go. You know what? There's a little bit of clanging going on, and not to say that it's never going to happen. Let's be honest. If you're skiing hard, it's going to take place. But how much of the inside of the tip of your ski poles knocked around and scraped? Well, that happens, and that starts to dull and chip the inside edges of your skis. So therefore, the inside edge of your ski doesn't grip and perform the way that it's supposed to. If you cut a left boot or a right boot or both boots a lot, then that tells you something about the discipline of your feet. And are your feet a little sloppy throughout the turn? It'll tell you something. If you got little kinks or that ski pole that goes down and has a little bend in it, is it a one-off mistake that you did it? Oh, it just happened once, or do you kick them constantly and consistently? And there's something to be looked at. There's a piece to investigate. And if you want to use that as a segue to get into equipment, Dave, go for it. But those are the things. Those are the things that I look at when I look at my skiing. Yeah. Those are the things I look at when I look at other people's that I tune skis or look at their, do the inside front edge have a lot of nicks and cuts in them? Does that mean that you're clanging around or you're hitting the top skin of the ski? All those, they tell a story that leads to a run like Ryan.
Yeah.
At the Masters Academy or Pro Jam coming up in December.
Yeah. Yeah. I just tell Troy all the nicks on my skis, they come from when they're in the Thule box, but he doesn't buy that. Yeah. You can try that, Angelo, but he won't buy it.
I'm not even going to try it.
Yeah, right there. But I do want to ask you about some equipment, man. The gear guides are out there and people are looking at new gear. And I know you're a Nordica guy, and I won't say it's the sister brand. It's the big brother. It's the big brother, as you call it. But
what happened? You guys still there? Sorry.
Yeah, we're here. You got us? Did we lose him?
I can hear him.
Yeah, I can hear you, Michael.
Where'd you go? You still there?
Yeah, yeah, we're here.
Perfect. Let's keep going. So let's talk about. Oh, now you're back. Let's talk about Nordica being the big brother of the other brand. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you love hearing that, don't you? I know Chris Erickson's going to love it right now. He's going to be going, see, you finally succumb. But I seen it on Facebook. There's like some big launch of a new ski coming out this week or next week or sometime. Or people do want to know. I mean, they love calling and asking us about gear, and I think this is a great chance for folks that listen that want to hear about some Nordica stuff. Any highlights or some things that are going on with the gear?
Yeah, the Nordic Enforcer line is expanding a little bit to include a backcountry ski. It's the footprint of an Enforcer. It's got a different name. I'm mad at myself for not knowing it right off the top of my head. But it's a backcountry ski in the footprint of the Enforcer. That's a little bit lighter, and it's made for ease of uphill skiing from a weight point of view, but doing its best to have some different materials so that it stays light, but yet does its best to reach into the dampness that the Enforcer is known for. That point of view, it just ended, so there's really a bummer to talk about it. We just had a Protober event in Nordica where they sold Enforcers, Santa Anas, and the Spitfire collection. And the Spitfire collection is three skis that all have the same side cut and flex pattern, but have different waist widths. One is 72, one is 76, and one is 80. Those are some of my favorite skis. The Spitfires, I will have a pair of 72s for rime, nice and sharp. But it was a Protober event that Nordica did a wonderful job offering great equipment at a very reasonable price early season, so that pros could get on the right tool for the start of their season. And I feel like it's something that's going to continue from, I know that it's something, it was so successful that it's going to continue from Nordica next year. So I know it's a long ways away, but keep an eye out for a thing called Protober with Nordica, and they're offering skis and bindings at a crazy great price for the month of October. So
I'm kind of one of those guys. I like to get the new ski. I take the wrapper off, put the bindings on. Yeah. As soon as the snow comes, I haven't done anything to them. I love to go out and see what they ski right out of the wrappers. I do. Yep. And 9 times out of 10 nowadays, not like back when I was first a ski instructor in the 90s, it's like, oh God, I'm scared to do this. I mean, pretty good. They kill it. And there's 1 out of 10 that's like, okay, I got to go get off the ski really fast and fix it. But is that what you do? I imagine you don't do it at team training, maybe, but do you just pull them out of the wrappers and go see what they do?
I don't. Kinda. I take them out of the wrapper. Yeah. I trust the finishing of the base preparation for production general public skis, the stuff that we get. If it comes out of the race room, then it's by design. It is set up so that it needs to get worked on right away before it gets on snow, from a preparation point of view and from a specific athlete setup point of view. But the stuff that comes in wrappers to us that you could buy on the rack, I trust the finishing of the base preparation. I also trust the side preparation, but I like a ski that is sharper than they come from the wrapper. So my go-to setup is usually out of the box on the base prep. For me, base prep deals with the steerability, and then I put 4 degrees on the side edge, and that side edge gets that angle to 3 degrees overall. It gets to 87 degrees, right? You got an angle 1 degree if whatever it is on the bottom, and then and I like a ski that is inherently a little bit sharper. Now I will say there have been times when I've thought off trail on dry, chalky conditions that my skis are too sharp and they don't skid quite as easily enough. But I choose to have a ski that is sharper than duller. I try to anyway. And then I know that it is going to have some disadvantages to it, maybe when it's chalky. And I'm just going to deal with those. But the machining of, the amount of money that is put into finishing skis so that they can be sold off of the rack and put bindings on and go ski, so that there's no prep work done. Ski companies put a lot of time, effort, and work into that, and the machines are mean, these are multi-million-dollar machines, or a couple of $100,000 anyway. There's a big difference between that. But these things are, there's a lot of money that goes into making sure that the skis can come out of the wrapper and ski well. I just personally, I just like it. And it's a little, tuning skis for me is a little cathartic. It's a good meditation.
If Angelo hasn't seen you go after a pair of skis in the stairwell, hooked to the railing, you have to watch it, Angelo. Yeah. You've got to see it happen.
Yeah. It is something that I will. I mean, I do it every people that and I feel like we talked about this when you tune a pair of skis. I mean, the goal should be to tune the edge off, to file the edge off. Yeah. And if you do that in a season, if you can do that in one season under normal use, I'll replace that ski for you.
No.
Because your skis will always be tuned and you will thank yourself for it.
Yeah. Look at it. Angelo's going to try it.
No, I'm going to leave them dull. I told you, just rub it on a tree. If it gets a little funny.
Joe Wood did that. You know, I can remember learning how to tune skis. Well, Sean Warman and I used to tune skis in growing up in high school. And we learned from his brother. But I can remember Emily Decker Gregg, who is an examiner in the East, well-known, wonderful lady, great person. She did a really good job of helping me learn how to tune skis when I was working at Pico. And I can remember Joe Wood coming in and going, no, you got it all wrong. And he took an old rusty file and just right across the edge. I mean, just took the 90 degrees and says, no, I want to skid and drift until I hit something that deflects me, whether that be a bump or a rock or a tree stump, I don't care. But that's the way that he wants it. And Emily was, sharp. I know people that have gone and taken a file and just tink, 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 and put little hatchet marks all the way down the edge because they thought that was going to give them better grip. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do it, but I'm going to go with mine.
Yeah.
For me,
I think I'd go more with yours.
You do that to the bottom of your pole. Put little dinks in.
No, you can't use the hatchet marks in the ski tail to put the hatchet marks in your pole just above the basket. No, that's not allowed, Angelo.
It seems like we always go back to page 46 in pole use. No matter what we do, we go back there. Well, I have to thank you, Michael, for joining us again. And it's always a pleasure. It's great. It's awesome for folks to get to listen because a lot of people, the level 3s get to go to Masters Academy and a lot of folks get to ski with you, but a lot of our membership doesn't ask the questions. So we absolutely appreciate your time and spending with us. Say hello to Robin. Hopefully Robin will be on at some point during the winter. And you could probably, hopefully you can catch her out on the snow. That'd be good to do a podcast with Robin out on the snow.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna probably try to do that at Pro Jam.
That'd be great.
Yeah. We're going to see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait for it. Look, guys, it's a pleasure and congratulations to the success that you all have created here. And hopefully there's a little bit of something in there that people like and enjoy. And I tip my hat to you there. Chapeau, I guess it is in French there. You've done an amazing job with this podcast and it's a pleasure to be a part of it. It's easy, it's fun. And you also look and dig into questions that have some meaning and some content versus just yuckity yuck. So well done. Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
We appreciate it. And definitely want to put a shout out to your team and all the other disciplines. Hopefully we get some of the other disciplines. We want to get K-Rod on here at some point during the winter. Keith Rodney and Greg Dixon and maybe some snowboard crew. But the team's been very supportive. Yeah, well, the team has been very supportive.
K-Rod, go.
K-Rod can go. Yes, he can.
Go for it. He's got green light for days. Man. That guy, beautiful.
Well, thanks a lot. And we want to thank our sponsors out there, Blues Technica and Nick's Boot Fitting over at Mount Snow, also helping out make the podcast possible this year. Angela, any parting words?
No, I think that was it. I'm still laughing about Keith.
Yeah, I know. We're going to be laughing all night about that one.
He's a great travel companion. You know,
Yeah.
you ask him one question and that's the end of it. You just let him go.
Yeah.
One open-ended question and you're set for a couple hours.
I love it. Awesome. We'll see you in a few weeks,
All
and
right.
hopefully we'll make some turns together.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's hope for snow and let's all enjoy our time at Killington, huh?
Absolutely.
Rogan.
Absolutely. Thank
And
you.
beyond.